Welcome back. Episode 65 of the ATD Baseball Podcast. This is a big episode. This is a big one.
It is.
National League West preview. Talking all Dodgers today. No, I'm just kidding. We are going to talk about all five teams in the NL West. I'm very excited, as if you can't tell already. But before we get to that, gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Doing pretty well. Excited to talk NL West, see how we stand on all of these teams here. No, we're
Piss
not
me
going to be
off
covering
today.
the Rockies too much. Not too much. They didn't do too much this offseason. And I think it's safe to say we probably have them all slotted into last in this division. But excited for that and cover some recent news here as well. We will get to the NL West. It'll be a couple minutes in, might be 10, 15 minutes in, but we are going to get there. It's the main bulk of the episode. So we'll get there. Kyle, how's it going?
Not too bad, fellas. It's exciting this week. We get to cover one of these powerhouse divisions. And then next week, we get to the best division in baseball. So it's a bit of a stepping stone here. So, no, I'm excited.
Yeah. Best division.
I was waiting. Come on now. It's our. I'll save my comments for next week. Don't worry.
Yep.
Yeah, we got to talk. We're talking NL West today, but we do have some other stuff before. I don't know where you guys want to start, but I'll just throw one out. Commissioner Rob Manfred, he is
The
done.
big one.
He is done at the end of January of 2029, which is another term. So for everybody asking how come he couldn't be out tomorrow or the next day, it's like he's got to finish the term. But that was I don't want to say shocking, but I think it definitely came out of nowhere. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm excited, but we still got a long way to go with this. But it's gonna be interesting to see how he tries to drag the sport down for these next 4 years. See what he does. But what were your guys' initial thoughts on it?
I mean, it's interesting because he hasn't been great to the game of baseball. If you ask baseball fans the question, he hasn't treated it very well. But I'm sort of looking at it from the perspective of, well, what's he going to do in these last kind of few years to try and cement his legacy and try and make himself look a little better when everybody goes back and looks at the Rob Manfred tenure of baseball and see all the not punishing the Astros and the calling the trophy a hunk of metal and, all the stuff that went down, shortening the or adding the pitch clock. And people seem to like that now, but you never know how people will react to it and look at it in 20 years or whatever. So we'll see what he does. I think he's got to make some sort of moves to try and better his legacy. I don't know if he thinks like that or not. Maybe he doesn't care, but maybe he thinks he already made his legacy good with the decisions he's made. But I doubt it. And I'm excited to see what he does. Hopefully, like I said, he's going to try and turn to good guy here in the last couple years, and maybe he'll actually start liking baseball a little bit. I don't know. But yeah, Melo scared him into retirement when we were
Damn
when
right
we
I
saw him.
did. Just my presence and my aura in that Rockies facility. He was like, holy shit, I gotta go. Exactly. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, so Matt, I'm glad you actually kind of got into that a little bit because Manfred does have a bit of a plan laid out. He has a few big things on his mind for what he wants to bring to the game of baseball before that term officially ends. Just to name off a few, he had talked about the Oakland Athletics, which will turn into Las Vegas Athletics real soon. He had said that it's good for the game of baseball. and that the club has been thorough in evaluating an interim home covering the 25, 26, and 27 seasons. Um, so therefore, we as baseball fans can get to look forward to um, the A's officially moving. And he also, this one kind of piqued my interest a little bit. He had said that MLB expansion is in the process of going to 32 teams. So obviously, expansion teams have not been a surprise to any of us. We've kind of realized that MLB will likely go that way at some point. Um, so he said that the processes are in place, and that doesn't necessarily mean that the franchises would be awarded, but he'd like to have 32 by the end of his term. Um, and this probably the biggest out of all of them. Let's say a free agency period. He had talked about that we would prefer to have a free agency signing period, ideally in December with a deadline. So this obviously probably is kind of um, heightened just because of what we've seen this offseason. I mean, Matt Chapman, Blake Snell, Cody Bellinger, these guys still don't have homes. Jordan Montgomery. Um, so I kind of want to get your guys' take on that. Like, out of those three things that Manfred had mentioned, which one are you guys kind of like the most curious to see how it works out, I would say?
I think
That last one
expansion
is the Scott
teams.
Boras rule, by the way.
Yeah, literally, literally. I think expansion teams is like the easy one to say, but I am excited and interested. I say interested to see free agent signing period with a deadline. That's other sports leagues have that, and Major League Baseball. It's not that they struggle with it a lot, but like we've seen it. We mentioned Bryce Harper in the past and Manny Machado that free agent year. They
Yep.
sort of drug out a little bit, and then this year too, the reigning NL Cy Young winner hasn't signed with the team before pitchers and catchers report, and spring training will officially be starting here pretty soon, and he still hasn't signed anywhere. So do you make them sign by a certain time, and if they don't, they can only accept like minimum contracts? Like, I'm interested to see what the penalty would be, but at the same time, part of me is like, well, why do you really care? Like, let them sign whenever they want to. And it's just a different way to think about it. I'm not saying it's the right way to think about it, but it's another, like, the angle is, oh, you need to make them sign by a certain time. It increases the um, intensity of the free agent offseason. It makes it the hot stoves on fire for however long, a month or whatever. But at the same time, I'm like, well, they're free agents. They're making huge life decisions. They should be able to kind of do it whenever they want to. But I'm interested to see how that would play out personally. Again, expansion teams, very interested to see how that would play out and where they would go and what it looks like by the end of Rob Manfred's team tenure. But yeah, I'm interested in about a free agency period.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. You know, these players, after doing their 6 years of service, they have earned the right to go through the free agency process and take as much time as they need to figure out where their next team is going to be, whether they re-sign with the current club or they go to another team and they got to relocate and move their family and everything. Um, I'm intrigued of what's going to happen with the A's because, well, number one, they're my state of California. Number two, a lot of no, it's like the residents in Vegas don't want the A's. The mayor of Vegas doesn't want the A's. And then you got the other side. Manfred wants the A's in Vegas. And then the fans in Oakland obviously don't want to lose them. We saw what they were doing this past season, which you want to add stuff to Manfred's legacy. What he talked about, you know, calling out the A's fans for that protest, saying that that's like the average league attendance for them for the day, and then keep adding more fuel to the fire. saying that if the A's go to Vegas or wherever, they should just go be Giant fans. I mean, what the hell are we talking about here? But I'm interested to see what happens with the A's because Vegas doesn't want them. Manfred wants them in Vegas. The fans of Oakland don't want them to leave. And they're I think starting next after next season, they're not even gonna have a home. And they gotta play another they gotta figure out another 2 seasons before they get to Vegas or wherever they end up. So for me the A's is I'm so intrigued how Manfred and baseball is gonna handle this and where they're gonna be. Because I feel for those players and employees in that organization because they want to know. They don't know where they're going to be at in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I just have one little tidbit before we move on here. The A's. So you guys both know that I've been completely against them moving. I don't like that. I mean, I'm a Yankee fan. Tradition kind of grows on me. That's just the way it goes. And for me, I don't care what anybody says. I think the Oakland Athletics are an historic franchise, and I think baseball is better when Oakland baseball is at a high level. I mean, those some of those Oakland teams that I grew up watching, and even like in the last few years, were dynamic. They were so damn good. I love to see the A's actually being a good team. What's happened to the A's in the last couple of years has been extremely sad for baseball, and I feel for those fans. I don't want them to leave. So, like you said, Melo, I am very curious to see where that ends up. And with the free agency period, um, I mean, everybody's favorite angel today came out and had some things to say. But I
That's a nice
also,
transition.
yes, I don't think he's completely in the wrong. And as people may agree or disagree with me here, but I mean, there is some truth to what he's saying. They have to figure out for their family because that's what really comes first to a lot of these ball players. And the free agency period, these guys earn that right. And for the fact that they have to basically be property of a team for 6 years before getting the chance to get a sniff at what their market's like, at where they can go and spend the rest of their careers. So I do kind of feel for that. And these guys earn that right. And for me personally, I just feel like, you know, they they should take as long as they need to really figure out where they're going to play for the next couple seasons or the rest of their career, depending on what kind of caliber player they are. So no, I mean uh, Anthony Rendon's been in the media spotlight a lot. So it's his on field and off field antics kind of get him in trouble a little bit, but there was definitely some truth to what he said today.
Yeah, if we want to dive into that maybe a little bit here, not a full on huge conversation, but just sort of our thoughts before we get into the NL West preview, of course. I think we'll do this and then dive into NL West. But Rendon said he's not. How did he word it? I don't want to take him out of context here or out of not say the quote properly.
Like a lot of
Melo's
people
pulling
have
it up
already
here.
done that. Like a lot of people have
Um,
already taken them out of context.
yes, but if we want to get the quote right exactly before I just saying go out and say he doesn't like baseball because that's not what he said. What was the quote, Melo?
It's never been a top priority to me. This is a job. I do this to make a living. My faith, my family come first before this job. So if those things come before it, I'm leaving. Wow.
It's a lot to unpack.
Um, yeah. Um, I mean, we've heard whispers for years that Rendon doesn't care, and I even heard it from other podcasts today that yeah, when he was going through the minors, it was like they'd be surprised if he even plays 6 full seasons, just because of the he just doesn't care. But I agree to an extent. You got to do what's best for your family and your faith. But for me, it's like you wouldn't have half of the stuff that you have access to right now if it wasn't for you being so good at baseball. So I get where he's coming at, but and it's hard. It's hard to tell somebody who doesn't care about their job to start giving a shit. It's hard. So I agree and I disagree. And the reason why I disagree is because we all wanted to be professional baseball players. We all love the game of baseball. I would love to be in Anthony Rendon's shoes right now, making that kind of money and playing the game that I love. But hey, not everybody feels that way. Baseball's not everybody's first love. I get it, but I don't know. It's difficult. That's my 2 cents. But he gives off the vibe that he doesn't care,
Yeah.
doesn't care, and that's what kind of bothers me a little bit.
There's two things that I'll say real quick. One, I'll compare it to what I know. Obviously, we have regular jobs outside of doing this. And do I think about my regular job outside of my regular job? Personally, for me, no, I don't. I don't really care. Once I clock out, that's it. You're not paying me to think about my job at home, so why would I? Um, Now, Melo, I know you work for the Dodgers. Maybe it's a little bit different, but you probably don't think about handing out food at home. What you think about the Dodgers, maybe, but not your actual position for the Dodgers. Even though it's like a dream working for the Dodgers, I'm sure. But the actual job part of yours, you probably aren't thinking about it. Kyle, I don't know. Some people dream to be teachers. I know you don't necessarily dream to be like what you're doing because your dream is to do media full time. So I'll just say, listen, I don't think about my job outside of my job, but it's a little bit different because I'm not getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars. And two, I'm not one of like, what is it, 1% of the population, less than 1% of the population that's a professional
Yep.
athlete? So
Yeah.
it's a little bit easier for me to say, I don't care about my job. Like, it's not a priority to me. I go, I collect my check, I do my work. Like, I'm not a bad worker. And that's where it crosses the line a little bit, too. We were talking about the NBA All-Star game a little bit before we started recording, and Nikola Jokic.
Best
Listen,
one ever.
that man doesn't care about about the NBA at all. But the difference is he's back-to-back MVP. He is one of the best, if not the best players in the league. And that's where Anthony Rendon loses me a little bit here is, are you trying to be the best at your job, or are you just showing up and, for lack of a better term, half-assing it all the time? And that sort of seems like what's going on with him. So that's my 2 cents on it. You can not care, but at least be trying and trying to do your best when you are on the clock, so to say, which is a weird term to use for an MLB player. But yeah.
And this is where you lose me too. I know Rendon's not speaking for everybody, but I know for a good amount of professional baseball players, it's not a job, it's their passion. It's what they
Yep.
grew up loving to play every single day and their dream to be professionals. That's where you lose me a little bit. Also, the production, just not being able to play every day. But it's like, I know for Rendon it's a job, but not for other guys, even especially in that Angels locker room. It's not a job, it's a passion,
Yep.
it's a career, it's their dream. It's their dream that they have worked hard for their whole lives.
Exactly.
Kyle?
I mean, you guys said it great. I gave a little bit of my 2 cents, and I agree with everything you guys said. Um, yeah.
and and to put a bow on what Kyle said like last segment about Rob Manfred, you know what he has to say about your traditions? Hump your traditions, put the to Vegas, and go be a fan of the San Francisco Giants.
That's his legacy right there.
Yes,
There you
hump
go.
tradition.
um, One thing I didn't mention when we talked about the A's. Seems to be Utah would love to have a baseball team, whether it's the A's or an expansion team.
Expand.
From what I've seen, they are trying really hard to try and get Major League Baseball to bring a team to. I think it'd be Salt Lake City. I would assume so, but it sure seems like
Most likely.
Utah and I believe Oregon has a pretty big petition or something that they would love to add a team to or get a transfer or a moval. But it seems like at the end of the day, we hear all this nonsense about Vegas and things not working out. At the end of the day, it will get pushed through. It seems like most likely.
Yeah.
So it seems like Vegas is going to be the new home for the A's. But where the expansion teams land, who knows? We'll see.
Nashville,
Yes, Nashville would be awesome. New Orleans would be pretty cool.
Montreal. Try it again.
Well, bring them
Try
back.
it
Yeah.
again.
That being said, it's time to talk NL West a little bit here.
It's freaking
Melo's fired up.
Damn right. Let's get the junk out of the way first. Let's do the Rockies.
Well, what
Um,
happened? What happened in the NL West? We starting with the
Oh,
Rockies
boy.
because they didn't do much.
That's why we're starting with the junk here.
Okay.
Ease your way into it. We're going up. We're going up a roller coaster right now. We're just hopping on the ride. The Rockies, they re-signed Charlie Blackmon to a 1-year deal. They traded for Cal Quantrill from Cleveland, and they signed Jacob Stallings to a 1-year contract. That is what I have down for the Colorado Rockies this winter. I'm just going to keep this short and sweet. They're not going to be a good team this year. I hate to be like that. I really do. And I like Bud Black. He's a good guy. He doesn't deserve this. He deserves to be managing a winning team here. But there's just not much else to say about the Rockies. They're clearly building for the future. And I think that's putting it nicely.
Yeah. Yep. Nolan Jones, I will say, one bright spot, a guy to look forward to. A lot of potential there, and he was a star at the end of the season. Love that guy. Future stud, for sure. But rotation is pretty ugly for the Rockies this year. I think we all had them in our bottom two for worst rotations in the league. Not much to like there. Not much to like otherwise. Chris Bryant, would love if you stay healthy and hit like 30 bombs. You're playing in Colorado. Come on, you can do it. That being said, Rockies over under 60.5 too.
Oh,
Yeah. Give me the under.
see, again, that's a good number.
It is. It's saying they lose 100 games. Do they lose 103 though, or do they lose just under 100? Or less than 100, I guess, but I don't see that happening.
We'll go over.
Melo ponders that. Oh, you going?
But not by much. I think this is 61-62.
Oh, over. Okay.
Yeah, the Rockies, as I know from what I just said a couple minutes ago, it doesn't seem like I believe in the Rockies at all, but you'd be surprised because I'm watching a lot of West Coast NL West baseball, AL West baseball. There could be a time, like in the middle of August or even July, when there's a good team that comes to Colorado and they're kind of sleepwalking a little bit. Rockies can steal some wins, especially with that friendly ballpark that they play in. So obviously they're not going to be competitive, but they could definitely steal some wins. I've definitely seen the Dodgers have trouble in Colorado, but I think they just get it.
Okay.
Yeah, I really don't have much on the Rockies here. They're just a bad team overall. I really wish Chris Bryant can put together a nice season, just because he grew up one of my favorite ball players. I'm always rooting for this guy, always, and I want to see him do well in Colorado and kind of make up for some of that contract. However, I don't see this team being competitive at all. But I have to say, I'm in the same boat as Melo. I know my Yankees; they always have trouble with Colorado for some odd reason. Always, whenever we go out west and we got to play in Colorado, we always have trouble. And I feel like for a lot of these big super teams or top teams in the league, when you do go out to Colorado, you can get kind of caught off guard a bit, just because this Colorado team can be sneaky, and they proved that. So for me, I'm taking the over, but it's definitely not by much. I don't. There's no, but at the same time, I would not be shocked at all if they hit the under.
So a respectful, maybe they win 62 games.
Yes, if that.
All right, all right. Now, Melo, where you go next from here might matter to some people's opinions a little bit.
Let's
Going to
continue
the
to get the
Dodgers,
crap
right?
out of the way. Let's do the Giants. Nah, just kidding.
Okay.
No.
Nope.
No, yeah, we're gonna do the Giants, but they're not. I'm not saying they're crap or anything. Um, Giants had a very interesting offseason. They fired Gabe Kapler, which you guys know how I feel about him. If I saw him down the
Fraud.
street, I'd punch him right in his face. If I saw him walking down the street, punchable guy, most punchable guy in the league, face in the league. Um, then they hired Bob Melvin, stole him away from San Diego. Now, granted, I don't think San Diego wanted him back either, so they basically said, "Yeah, you want to have a meeting with San Francisco? Go for it." And I don't even think he left the room without a deal. So he's a new manager. They traded for Robbie Ray. They re-signed Tyler Rogers, Lamont Wade Jr. to one-year deals. They gave Jordan Hicks a 4-year, $44 million contract. They signed Jorge Soler last week, and they gave Jung Lee a 6-year, $113 million contract. That's what the Giants did this offseason.
Giants are an interesting team here because, listen, there's some pieces to love about the Giants. Logan Webb, ace. Um, there's some younger-ish talent to like. Lamont Wade had a bit of a down year last year, I believe. I'd look for a bounce back from him this year. Robbie Ray's a wild card of when he comes back from injury. What could he be like for them? Plus, he has like an opt out after this year anyway. So does he opt in just for the Giants' future sake anyway? But for this year, they're over under sitting at 81.5 too, which is, I mean, I think
That's
that's
a
a really
big
good
number.
line. You think so?
Mm,
Oh, Melo sounds like he's pondering the under there. I think they might be like an 83 win team this year. They're not going to be wild card contention, but
quote that.
83? Or are you thinking more like 79 wins here for the Giants?
So that's what I'm leaning towards. But
Okay.
again, the Giants are always this pain in the ass team that they may not be competitive, but they're going to give some teams some trouble. Now, listen, I'm not saying that they're like Rockies, where they're just not going to be competitive at all. Um, Back end of that bullpen too is really good.
Yes.
Duvall, one of the best closers in the league. Got to give him his credit here. 81 and a half. Just because Giant fans are gonna take this as he hates he hates Giants. Give me the over.
Okay.
But I don't. This is one of these that I don't feel confident in it.
All right. All right. I'll take the over too, but this is I'm going to use my buy 1 or 2 games card right here on this one. I
Same
don't
here.
know about this. Real close. They seem like a 500 team. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I like what the Giants did this offseason. I believe they may have jumped the gun on Lee a little bit. I'm not going to take anything away from him. I'm excited to see what he does over here. But like we've been talking about these last few years, um, I feel like they've just been like feeding for a superstar, and they kind of looked at Lee that way. But I like the Jorge Soler move. I like the Hicks move. Depending on what they do with the whole starter thing, I don't know. But this is also for me. I see them around a 500 team, maybe a little bit better, just because the Giants are that team that can be a pain in the ass, like Melo had said. So for me, I'm taking the over on this. But yet again, like you guys, I don't necessarily feel comfortable with it.
Yeah. exactly. Next team, Padres. I'm guessing.
Yeah, San Diego Padres.
Oh
Uh,
boy.
After declaring at their fan fest last year that they were going to be in the World Series, they did not do that. They had an underwhelming season and missed the postseason. Um, as I mentioned a second ago, Bob Melvin left to go manage San Francisco. They hired Mike Schultz as their new manager. They lost Josh Hader in free agency. They traded Juan Soto to the Yankees, and which we'll get into that next week. And then they signed.
Beautiful.
I don't want. And then they signed Yuli Matsui to a 5-year, $33.6 million deal. So it seems like there was a lot of more. Let's get under the payroll a little bit and get some prospects back. And Blake Snell's still out there, but he's not going back to San Diego. Um, Kind of a different offseason. Something I think the Padre fans had not expected in a couple years because they were in the NLCS 2 years ago. A lot of people had them as favorites to get to the World Series last year. And then all of a sudden, things happen, and then you got to get under the payroll again. And uh, unfortunately, they did lose their owner this past off season too. So I know that had, that changed the plans a lot too to get under the payroll and stuff. Um, this is a weird team for me. They still have good pieces around. Jake
Great
Cronenworth,
pieces.
yeah, they have Hassan Kim is now, which he earned it. He's now going to be the shortstop. Xander Bogaerts is now going to second base. Machado's still good. Machado is still an MVP candidate with the type of third base that he plays and the offensive numbers that he can put up. I know he was hurt last year towards the end of the season, but when he's right, he's still, in my opinion, top five MVP in the National League. And then they have Fernando Tatis Jr. They still have him out there, I think, in right field.
Yep.
So um, there's still some great pieces around. Yu Darvish is still, I think, now at the top of the rotation for them. They got Michael King back in that Soto trade. This is a weird one for me. I don't know what I would not be surprised if the Padres were a wild card team this year, but I wouldn't be surprised if they also just completely had another bad season. That's my 2 cents.
Like Melo said, it's such an interesting team this year because there are superstars on this team, legit superstars. Xander
Joe Musgrove.
Bogarts, Xander Bogarts is like 3 years removed from, being a legit top five shortstop in Major League Baseball. 2 years maybe. Like he is still a really good offensive piece, second baseman this year. Ha-Sung Kim, up and coming star, great defensive player, can swipe a little bit with the bat. So besides Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. as well, pitching rotation looks a little worse without Blake Snell in it. Lacking a little bit there, I'd say. And losing Josh Hader on the back end, it does hurt some. Um, it hurts you a little bit. 81.5 is the over-under, same as the Giants here. Crazy as it sounds, give me the under on this one because I can't take the
Ooh.
over on the Giants and the Padres. So I took the over on the Giants. Give me the just under on the Padres this year. 80, 79 wins. Just a little below 500. They need Blake Snell back, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh boy. Yeah, so the Padres lost a lot of stars here. They did. They lost Hader, they lost Snell and Soto, thankfully. Um, However, they reinvented this pitching staff and the bullpen as well. I understand that the lineup might be lacking a little bit with the disappearance of Soto. I mean, he's a generational player. You're going to miss that no matter what. Machado said it himself. But they still have these superstars, just like you guys had said. This bullpen, I'm going to be honest with you, I think it's sneaky good. I'm not going to lie. I love the additions they made. Matsui was one of them. Woo Go was another. I believe they had a few more additions to that bullpen as well. And the pitching staff, I don't I don't think it's great, but I don't think it's bad. I mean, Michael King, as sad I was to see him go, I think he's going to turn into a formidable starter, 2 or 3 kind of guy. Um, he has some real high upside, and they got our best pitching prospect, which was Drew Thorpe. I've always been huge on him ever since we drafted him. Um, I don't want to I don't want to say this team's going to be any worse, but for what they lost this season, I think they got a pretty damn good return on everything, and I think they did the best with what they could. Um, 81.5 is such a weird number for this team because we saw the extremely underwhelming season they had last year, but this team is it's not by any means bad. Like, I mean, that's just the way I'm looking at it. I'm going to take the over here. I I feel more confident in it than I do the Giants, to be honest with you. I I kind of like. I mean, I'm not saying. Yeah, a lot of huge losses there, so it's hard for me to say that I like this team any better. But I give them I give them props for doing what they could with what they had. So I'm going to take the over here.
Kyle sold me. So now you're on the clock. You're on the list for this season. Uh I'm going over with the Padres.
Ooh.
And but again, not by much. And the other reason why I'm saying it too, the pressure's a little kind of off San Diego this year. Last season they had a ton of expectations. And even 2 years ago, I know they kind of came out of nowhere 2 years ago, but for the first time in a while, I think everybody in San Diego can kind of relax and breathe a little bit. There's not this World Series expectation, which I'm sorry to say it, it's true. San Diego has not had expectations like that in a very long time, if not ever in their franchise. Um, I just think playing with house money has something to do with it. So give me the over on the Padres.
All right. Yeah, pressure's off of them. Pressure's on the D-backs now, which is a transition here.
Yes. Uh, I'll save my take. Well, it's not really a take, but I'll save it for after I say this. Diamondbacks, of course, we know, got to the World Series last year, lost to Texas. Traded for Eugenio Suarez from Seattle. They signed Eduardo Rodriguez 4 years, 80 million. Boo. They re-signed Gurriel Jr. 3 years, 42 million. Signed Jock Peterson to a 1 year deal. Signed Randall Grichuk to a 1 year deal. And they both earned their extension. GM Mike Hazen got a contract extension through 2028, and Torey Lavello got a contract extension through 2026. Both of them well deserved. The Arizona Diamondbacks very quietly had one of the best off seasons, in my opinion. They struck gold with Corbin Carroll last year. Rookie of the year, had a great season, and they continued to build off of that. They quietly had one of the best off seasons in baseball. And here's my hot take for Corbin Carroll. He will finish top 3 at MVP voting this season. And I feel good
I like
about
that.
that. I really
I like
like what I
that.
saw out of this kid the first year. And I think he's going to build off of it. He can hit for average, he can hit for power, and he's a pain in the ass on the base pads. Saw that with the Dodgers and with the Phillies.
Yep. Uh, yeah, I couldn't agree more. D-backs made some nice moves, in my opinion, this offseason. And we said it when we talked about the moves earlier. I said it. They improved around the edges, and They didn't sign a huge player, but the moves that they made improved incrementally and brought back some of the guys that were free agents and retained this core that they have. I like the rotation. Um, Zach Gallen leading the way there. Merrill Kelly, Eduardo Rodriguez, Brandon Fott. I mean, listen, we don't know what we're going to expect from him. Sometimes players go on wild runs for a little bit. Sometimes it just happens to be in the playoffs. But sometimes that's your establish yourself in Major League Baseball moment as well. So maybe that's what that is for Brandon Fott. And he's going to be a number 3 in your rotation now. Could he sneak himself into a number 2? I mean, we don't know. Depends what he looks like coming out this year. Adding Paul Sewald to close it up on the back end at the trade deadline last year, obviously now carrying over into 2024 as well. Love that. Replaced Evan Longoria with maybe a more offensive first guy with Suarez at third base. Bring it on. D-backs over 84.5, 100% for me.
Yeah, this is a very exciting team. I can't wait to watch this team into 2024. No, Ed, they definitely did have a very, very good offseason. I love all the additions they had made. Um, Arizona baseball is finally looking up after all these years, and it's such a cool thing for the game. Um, to see this team go from one of the worst in the league to now one of the best, I mean, it's such a cool thing to see, and I'm really excited for this team. This is one of the easiest overs that we're going to take, I believe, in these previews that we're doing here. For me, this is a no doubt over for me.
I agree. This this team should be high 80s to a 90 win team, without question.
Agreed. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, this is one of the easiest overs we're gonna have. Easy.
Yeah.
I think that's a slap in the face, to be honest with you. 83 wins.
As long as you don't have a World Series loss hangover, loom too much, should be easy money for the D-backs right here.
Definitely. And now, uh, before I say what this team did during the offseason,
Oh boy.
I'm going to give this team a proper introduction.
Oh boy.
Celebrating their 66th season in Los Angeles, California. 62nd season at Dodger Stadium. This is the franchise with 21 National League Western Division titles, 24 National League pennants, and 7-time world champions. One of the most historic and iconic franchises in Major League Baseball and in all of professional sports. Your Los Angeles Dodgers. Let's fucking go.
Hire him as the hype man right there. That's how
Goddamn
they
right.
should start the season. With
They
that
should be
video.
playing that at Dodger Stadium on opening day
Yep.
before the team comes out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, what didn't the Dodgers do this whole season? Shohei Ohtani, they got him for 10 years, 700 million, and to stick the knife a little bit, 680 million of it was deferred until 2034. They signed Yoshinobu Yamamoto to a 12-year, 325-year deal. They traded for Manuel Margot and Tyler Glasnow, and literally 5 seconds after that, gave him a 5-year, $136 million extension. They re-signed Jason Hayward. They brought back the king of Clayton Kershaw. They signed James Paxton. They signed Teoscar Hernandez, which I haven't seen him in camp yet. I don't know what's going on. And the most important thing, I did not jump off the roof of my house this offseason. Dodgers gave me a reason to come back. And not take my own life.
Where do you start with this team? Because they are loaded up and down the roster. I forgot Tyler Glasnow for a second there, but Melo reminded me real quick. Yeah, Tyler Glasnow is a Dodger for this season and the next 5 seasons or so. Um, mm, don't forget Gavin Lux coming back from injury this year too. Love to see it. Bobby Miller coming off of NL Rookie of the Year runner up. I think
I think
second
it was a
was he
top
second or
three
third?
finish,
Top three
something like
finish
that.
at least. Okay, so he's going to be adding on to what he did last year. The Dodgers are absolutely loaded this year. I'm not going to waste my breath anymore. They're a regular season machine. Listen, I'm not going to take a shot at Melo, but they're a regular season machine. Over under is 103.5. Crazy that the over under is set that high, but either way, give me the over. I think they got to hit it.
Yeah, I'll get mine out of the way real quick. I'm taking the over on this team. The only thing that concerns me and the only thing that I could ever see being a barrier in this team is injuries. We've seen it,
Yep.
especially. I mean, my first thought is Tyler Glass now. This guy's basically his name. I mean, he's kind of made of glass the last few years. Um, Otani. I mean, obviously he's not going to be pitching this year, but towards the end of last year, he was having a few injury bugs there. Small stuff, but I mean, still kept that out of the lineup for a few games. No, that's the only thing I could see getting in this team's way, but I don't really see it being that big of an issue not to hit this over. Um, it's kind of it's kind of disrespectful of me to take the under if I were to ever think that. So I'll get it out of the way and say the over.
I forgot James Outman too. It was also a top 5
Yes.
Rookie of the Year finish. He was a lock for NL Rookie of the Year in the first month and a half or so. So don't forget about James Outman too. Another piece.
Yeah, this team every day is gonna run out Will Smith, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Gavin Lux, Max Muncy, James Outman, Jason Hayward, Chris Taylor, Teoscar Hernandez, Manuel Margot, and they're gonna have a bunch of things off the bench. Um, Obviously, this isn't over for me, but I've said this to you guys on and off camera. Dodgers can win 116 games. They can win 98 games. They could win 125. I don't give a shit this year. I don't care. I don't care. Just get into the goddamn postseason and figure out a way how to get 11 fucking wins in the postseason. Because for some goddamn reason, it all goes to shit when we get to October. Whatever this team has to do to perform in October, do it. And if it means we have 10 less wins than we're projected to, so be it. I'm not going to get excited about any Dodger win this year. Because you know what? No game is going to matter until that first game in October. It's true. So figure out what you got to do, and let's get another one of these this season. Yes, you see that beautiful shiny ring right there. Let's get another one of these. The road to championship number 8 begins today,
All
and
right.
I can't wait to find out.
There it
Don't hump
is.
me again this year, please. Please.
Um, so we got the over under us out of the way. It's going to lead us to division prediction standings wise. I think we're all going to have the first or the same first and last. It's just kind of matter basically third and fourth for us. I'll go first. Give me Dodgers and then D-backs, then Giants, Padres, and Rockies. That's where maybe I'll be a little different having the Giants and Padres, but yeah.
Yeah, Mello, I'll have you have your moment there at the end. So for me, it's Dodgers, D-backs, Padres, Giants, Rockies.
Dodgers, D backs, Padres,
Ooh,
Giants, Rockies.
all right. All right.
I'm sure I'll get a lot of
Um,
shit from the Giant fans.
MVP and Cy Young for the division. I got Mookie Betts MVP for the NL West this year. Um, switch to second base. I like that for him. Give me Cy Young is an interesting one. A lot of great pitchers in this division.
Clayton Kershaw.
No, I don't think he's going to pitch enough games, but I think I'm going to go Zach Gallen for the division. Give me Zach Gallen,
Ooh, I
NL
like
West
that.
Cy Young.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take the obvious one just because I feel like I have to. I'm gonna take Ohtani for MVP,
Yes.
and then I'm also going to take Zach Gallen for my Cy Young.
All right. Melo's going to make a Dodger sweep here. It's just a matter of what pitcher he chooses.
James Paxton, Cy Young. No, I'm just kidding.
Kyle would love to see it.
Damn right I would. Big Maple respect.
I mean, listen. I'm in love with this dude. We're in a happy marriage right now. Shohei Ohtani, MVP this year in your division. Cy Young,
Just say it.
Logan Webb. We'll go Logan Webb.
Okay.
We'll go Logan
Not
Webb
where I
here.
thought you were going.
I'm going to go Logan Webb here. I'm going to give the Giants a little bit of love here.
Thought about it. Yeah.
I like Logan Webb. Believe it or not.
Yamamoto.
That's where I thought. I thought you were going, Melo.
I thought about it. It's okay. He's going to be World Series MVP. It's okay.
Oh, okay.
Rookie of the year, maybe.
Yes, he's going to win all the major awards.
All right. That was the NL West. Your glory's over, Melo.
Yes.
Don't celebrate the NOS crown this year, please. Don't celebrate it. Doesn't mean shit to me, and it shouldn't mean shit to them anymore.
That's one way to look at it.
It's the only way to look at it.
AL East preview next week.
You're
3
damn right.
previews left. Yeah, we're already halfway done. And soon we'll be in Florida before we know it here.
Yes.
Interesting.
Getting
Get to bask
closer.
in.
Yes. Yes.
Juan Soto and Aaron Judge will be there soon. Don't you worry.
I'm coming, Aaron Judge. Don't worry. I'll be there.
You're damn right.
That's right. So yeah, that's episode 65 in the books there. NL West preview. Let us know about our predictions. You always do. So yeah, Melo's chase for another one of those begins this season. Begins now. So we'll see how it ends, and yeah, we'll see y'all next week for the AL East preview. Watch for the NL West draft coming out soon as well. See ya.